Pat Espinoza from San Diegans Against Crime is going to ask the next question.
Hi there, my name is Patrick Espinoza. I'm a director of San Diegans Against Crime, which is the political action committee of the San Diego Deputy District Attorneys Association. And my question focuses on the marijuana zoning ordinance. On August 29th of this year, the Federal Department of Justice updated its guidelines regarding marijuana enforcement under the Controlled Substances Act. The guidelines clarified that the federal government retains the power to enforce federal laws relating to marijuana regardless of state law. The federal government emphasized the need for strong and effective regulatory and enforcement systems to control the cultivation, distribution, sale, and possession of marijuana. The federal government also warned that if local efforts are not sufficiently robust, the federal government may seek to challenge the regulatory structure itself. Do you feel that the city's new proposed marijuana zoning ordinance is restrictive enough? What specific changes would you like to see adopted? What specific districts in the city, if any, should allow marijuana dispensaries?
Nathan Fletcher.
Yeah, thank you. This is another one of those issues that's lingered for years. Just like recruiting and retention and a lot of these others, it's lingered that hasn't been addressed. I think that the initial proposal put forward by the council was a step in the right direction. I know that they had to step back from that because of a threatened referendum. But I think that it needs to be clear. It needs to be restrictive to just those Prop 215 uses in terms of medicinal, and we want to make sure that it stays out of the neighborhoods. And this is another thing I think where the council really needs to focus on getting it done, because your officers need certainty. You need to know what the laws are. You need to know what people are allowed to do and where they're allowed to do it. Neighborhoods and regular citizens need to be protected, and the public needs to be clear on what the local ordinance is. And I would encourage the council to get back quickly. This doesn't need to wait for a mayor's race. This could get done now. And I think that the time has passed and it's overdue that this problem be solved.
Mike Aguirre.
I watched the documentary Ride with Larry over the weekend and saw that what medicinal marijuana can do for people with Parkinson's disease. It is a legitimate purpose. However, I will not do anything unless our prosecutors sign off on it. And because we cannot have the city of San Diego running head-on with our district attorney and with our U.S. attorney. And we need to work and with our city attorney. And we need to work in a cooperative way. I happen to think the current proposal does work. And that we should move forward with it because they have in Los Angeles, they have in San Francisco. And one of the things we can't do is our prosecutors have to respect the fact that the voters have spoken and they do want to be able to provide medicinal marijuana to people who are legitimately in need. What we will not permit is the exploitation of that, and I actually think by putting regulations in, it will make it easier for us to go after the abusers of medicinal marijuana dispensaries rather than have the situation as it remains today.
David Alvarez.
Thank you, and you know the council worked really hard and very diligently over a couple of years to pass an ordinance, which my colleague Councilmember Faulkner worked on as well, and unfortunately that was overturned due to the petition gathering that occurred. And I actually voted against that ordinance, and I'll tell you why. There's now evidence to prove my case, which is what I was saying back then, was that I didn't want medical marijuana dispensaries to only go into certain neighborhoods. And the data has now come back and has proven that they're going into the same neighborhoods where we always dump the stuff that nobody else wants. This is the wrong approach. People from throughout this entire city, if we believe that this should be provided, medical marijuana should be provided, people from the entire city need access. We shouldn't just put them in a community just because, unfortunately, that's where people, primarily low-income, people of color, live. And so there's a disparity. There's been disparities in the city for a long, long time, and a lot of issues. And so in this issue, unless we resolve the issue of equality throughout the entire city, I would not support the ordinance coming forward. But we are working on it, and it's coming back in January.
Councilman Faulkner.
It was a strong ordinance, and it was a fair ordinance. We spent a long time working on that. With the overriding goal is that we are not going to have dispensary after dispensary after dispensary located in our neighborhood zones, period. End of story. Any neighborhood, whether you're in Rancho Bernardo or San Ysidro. And the council came to a conclusion on that, and it was the right conclusion. I see a lot of familiar faces in here who worked on that ordinance, and some thought it was too restrictive. I didn't. I thought it was the right thing for the city to do. And so now it will come back at some point, but I will say today what I said then. We are going to ensure that we guarantee access, but we do not, I repeat, do not have a proliferation of these in our neighborhoods.
All right, thank you, sir.